Well, welcome to another edition of Summer of Sleaze. I don't know if you can read this t-shirt or not. This is from the 80s, the 10 greatest fucks of all time or something like that. I don't know. If you can read them, enjoy. But needed a t-shirt to pinch. So anyway, but back to our whatever the hell we're doing here. Did you ever, this is going back into the late 60s, maybe mid-60s even. There used to be a lot of paperback book tie-ins with movies that came out, and a lot of cases the books were sometimes better than the actual movie. I mean, I know they started a series with The Man with No Name. I don't know if they kept it going. And then, I don't know if you guys remember the Reptilicus Gorgo books, the tie-in books that were a little bit more risque, shall we say, than they should have been for kids. Because I remember the Reptilicus one about something about the general would never feel the sweet curve of her bosom as the monster rampaged through the streets or some shit like that. But yeah, there was some sneaky shit in there. And I remember some other stuff. I think the Barquero novel basically had the Forrest Tucker character, Mountain Phil, as Cannibal Phil. And there was, I believe, a rape scene in it too. But the one that got me was a book about lady motorcycle gang members called the Hellcats. And I believe the exact quote on the book was, "Leather on the outside, all women on the inside." And it had this chick on the cover with an eye patch swinging a chain. So I thought, something, this has got to be good. So of course, being the horny little teen that I was, picked it up, and of course it was lascivious and, sexual oriented, shall we say, at that point in time, but never got to see the movie because the movie somehow bypassed me. I really didn't know how lucky I was until I managed to catch a copy of it. And to be honest with you, this is the worst fucking biker film ever made, hands down. You can't compare anything to it. The main star is Ross Hagen, a young Ross Hagen who basically became a character actor and produced a few films. He was in Wonder Woman in the Philippines. He was in Fred Owen Ray's Armed Response. I think he did a bunch of stuff with Fred, actually, and he was in one of the Angel movies, so he'd been around. And it's his brother, who's a cop, who gets shot down by a sniper, and he's a military guy who comes back and hooks up with his brother's fiancée to join this gang, the Hellcats, that are smuggling drugs back from Mexico, but they don't know how. Well, the guys that they're working for, the Hellcats, are these big, fat, doughy white guys. And they're the ones that are moving the drugs. So basically, the Hellcats go down, send a couple of the women down to Mexico to meet these scumbags and get the heroin shoved into their headlight or something. But anyway, Ross and this girl decide to, infiltrate the gang. When they get there, the first thing they're asked, "Where are your colors, man?" Well, none of the Hellcats are wearing colors. As a matter of fact, this is so low rent that somebody wrote something on the back of somebody's work shirt with a magic marker, and that seemed to be the colors. Another thing was a couple really lame-ass fights break out, and by movie standards, I've seen better fights in bars, actual fights. So then there's another thing where they have a climactic drag race, and it's so low budget they can't even film the race. You see the two bikes take off, you see them coming back. Other than that, nothing. Basically, they just ran around and hid behind the trees and came back. So there's a whole bunch of shit going on. And yeah, one chick does have an eye patch and she ain't attractive, and most of the women in the film aren't that attractive. And there's a whole bunch of other shit going on. It's just weird. And there's an infiltrator in the club who's feeding information to the doughy white guys. But in the end, someone dies and the club wants revenge. But in the interim, Ross and his girl are captured and they're going to do something, and they meet at a dock and there's a climactic blowout and this and that and the other thing. And there's no fucking way in the world, my friends, I can make this film even sound good. I'm not even going to try. It's just one of those little things that basically, a book with a lot of TNA and sex in it was a hell of a lot better than the actual movie. I mean, if you don't believe me, you can check out. It's on Tubi, where everything else is. The Hellcats from 1968. So that's our show for today. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget the 10 greatest fucks of all times, and we'll catch you on the flip side.